You've probably noticed them before. The ones who are quick to smile, who always remember your name, who ask how you're doing and mean it. They're the ones who show up with soup when you're sick, with a text when you're quiet, with a hug that somehow lasts just a little longer than most. And it's so easy to think, what a good person, what a kind soul. And it's true, but what most don't see, what most don't ask is where that kindness comes from. Because the truth is, kindness often has roots in pain. Not always, but more often than we admit. The kindest people often hide the deepest wounds. Sometimes they were the child who grew up unnoticed, who learned to earn affection by being helpful, gentle, easy. They discovered early that kindness was safer than anger, that pleasing people protected them from being abandoned or hurt, so they made themselves small, patient, agreeable, and the world praised them for it. Sometimes they were the one who knew rejection too well. They felt what it was like to be left out, dismissed, unloved, and something inside them decided, I won't let anyone else feel this way if I can help it. And so they turned their wound outward, transforming it into tenderness for others, even as their own ache went untouched. And sometimes they were broken in ways no one ever saw. Loss, betrayal, heartbreak. They carried it quietly, choosing not to burden anyone else. Instead, they became the caretaker, the encourager, the healer, because it was easier to tend to others than to face the emptiness inside themselves. Kindness is real, but so is the wound behind it. Look closely and you'll see it. The friend who never asks for help, though they're always the first to offer it. The coworker who lightens the room with jokes, yet avoids every question about their own life. The family member who remembers every birthday, every small detail, but disappears when it's time to talk about themselves. Their kindness isn't a performance, it's part of who they are, but it can also be armor, a way of keeping others close without ever revealing the softest, most fragile places inside, because if they did, they're afraid they'd scare people away. And the world rarely questions it. No one stops the generous one and says, but how are you really? No one doubts the strong one who always says, I'm fine. No one looks past the smile, because receiving kindness is easy, but sitting with someone's pain requires more. But here's the paradox. The very people who seem to need nothing are often the ones carrying the heaviest loads, and they deserve the same gentleness they pour into everyone else. If this sounds familiar, if you recognize yourself in these words, then maybe you've been the one hiding. Maybe you've been the one giving, while quietly aching for someone to notice that you're tired. If so, hear this. Your kindness is not a mask, but it doesn't have to be your shield. Your wounds don't make you unworthy of love. They don't make you weak. They don't make you less. In fact, they're part of what makes your kindness so powerful, because you know what hurt feels like, and you vowed never to hand that hurt to someone else. But here's the risk. If you never let anyone see your wound, you'll never let anyone help you heal. You'll keep living as the giver, the comforter, the safe place, while starving for the very care you provide for others. The kindest people often hide the deepest wounds, but kindness doesn't have to mean silence. True kindness isn't just about pouring yourself out. It's also about allowing yourself to be filled again. So let someone in, even just a little. Let someone see the crack in the smile, the tremor in the voice, the truth behind I'm fine. Not everyone will understand, but some will. And they'll hold you the way you've held so many others. Because healing doesn't come from hiding, it comes from being seen. And you deserve to be seen, not just for your kindness, but for your wholeness. So if you're one of those people, if you've lived your life as the steady one, the gentle one, the endlessly kind one, don't forget, even the strongest arms need somewhere to rest. Even the brightest lights deserve warmth in return. Even the kindest hearts need healing. The kindest people often hide the deepest wounds. But the day they allow those wounds to be witnessed, kindness is no longer just survival. It becomes freedom.